Welcome, Dr. James Beckett, Sports Card Insights. It's July 3rd. Happy July 4th to all of those of you who are in the U.S. Independence Day. Thanks sponsors, Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, Heritage Auctions, Huggins & Scott Auctions, Mike's Stadium Sports Cards, Burbank Sports Cards, ComC.com, and Beckett Media, Beckett Grading, Beckett Authentication. July 1st was the first day for the NIL. It's not NIL. That's another word for zero. But NIL, the name, image, and likeness, which has been legislated, I think, in some states, and now permissible by the NCAA, that they won't be punishing college athletes for name, image, likeness situations. In other words, the definition of what is an amateur athlete has been in question for quite some time. It used to mean just not getting paid to play, but the lines are increasingly blurred. If you are not playing, but you're paid for something else, now within certain bounds, that's going to be okay. When I first thought about it, name, image, likeness, that just sounds a lot like it's tailored for cards and other commercial activity where these college athletes can get paid not expressly for their performance on the field. The front of the card has the name and the image and the likeness. Now, the back of the card is another story. I'm not sure that this new legislation or this new approval is going to include stats on the back. I think they're trying to disconnect the name, image, and likeness from the performance on the field or on the court. You're not getting paid to play other than your tuition, but you're allowed to make as a side gig that's not related. It is trading on your fame that you've established, your notoriety at the college or maybe even the high school level, but not expressly in your uniform. I don't think so. The big question is always, did college athletes have a good deal or a bad deal back in the day? Again, last week. And the answer is yes and no. Sometimes in the days before, it would depend on the sport. And mainly what people look at is the revenue generation for the school. If you're an All-American basketball player at a basketball school or an All-American football player, indirectly or maybe even directly bringing in a lot of money for the school and not sharing that at all. So anyway, whatever it is, July 1st, moving forward, the name, image, likeness, it's clearly providing some additional options for really all athletes, not just the stars. If you took a survey of fans out there, I think pretty much fans overwhelmingly felt that it'd be okay for these college players to get these additional quote unquote rights, that they would have the same ability as some other scholarship college attendee to get a part-time job. Although I will say this, in some scholarships, you're really not allowed to have a part-time job. Again, that just all started this week. What's the role of agents in this new world? If you hire an agent, you're no longer an amateur. If you got some marketing help or booking help for your name, image, and likeness that's not expressly related to the sport, is that okay? My guess is it is, as long as you don't get an agent for improving your chances of your draft position. And I don't think all coaches are going to be excited about this. It's not the definition of attention deficit disorder, ADD, but clearly if these college athletes are making money on the side and making good money, it may draw their attention away from practice and the sport and all that. So the old school coaches who don't embrace this, they may be at a recruiting disadvantage, because I think athletes for the most part are going to want to have this option to make some additional money. Will there be jealousy or envy among your teammates? I'm sure there will be, except that it's a free world and first movers frequently get an advantage. So if you're in a small college town and you are able to get an endorsement or a spokesperson role for a local establishment, and the first one in is probably going to get the deal. But eventually, it'll shake out. Will this level the playing field with respect to the huge colleges versus the smaller colleges? And I'm not sure it will that much. If you're Notre Dame or University of Texas, you're going to still have bigger launch platforms for athletes. SMU, my alma mater, has rebranded their football in the last couple of years to that they want to be Dallas's team. Again, it's not just the size of the school, but it's the size of the city and the economic opportunities. I look at it as the size of the fish and the size of the pond. If you're a high school All-American and you're going to go be a big fish in a big pond, you're going to have obvious opportunities. Clearly, if you're a small fish in a small pond, there still may be opportunities, but they're going to be less obvious. You're going to have to work that. The real trick is if you're a medium fish, if you're all district but not all state, and you go to play football or basketball, is it better to be a medium fish in a big pond where you're going to get more visibility, at least from the big team, or to be a bigger fish, the medium fish in a small pond, to be the star on a Division II team or something like that? I think that's just going to depend. We're going to see I've always advised my younger friends, go to the best school for you, and that includes not just sports, but all of life. Where do you want to spend 4 years of your life? You're going to form friendships, as I did, that last your whole life. The NCAA right now is prohibiting any tie-ins to the school. I believe the NCAA is probably going to be evolving on that, because otherwise they don't participate at all financially. If they make some rule changes that allow, in a group licensing sense, these college athletes to be shown in their uniforms, then the NCAA gets a cut, the player gets a cut, and I think that's probably the way it'll move, because I don't like the idea of a bunch of individual sets. I think complete sets are important. It's the legacy of our hobby, of our industry. And NCAA is going to bring it in, or there's going to be some association of college athletes where there's some group licensing, so that, again, if you had individual sets, it just would wreak havoc with the price guides and looking up things and the annual price guide, the monthly price guide. I still have that muscle memory, so I don't want to see a set of 50 Trevor Lawrence cards, but I'd love to see a larger set of college players. I think this will be a positive for local card shops and card shows. If you can draw from the community at large, college players in the area, it's got to be cheaper than these pro athletes. They're going to need to be 8x10s for the signings. But do those have to be in street clothes as opposed to in uniform? I'm not sure. This also could level the playing field for women's sports. If you're a woman, especially an attractive woman, the culture we live in, that's going to be an endorsement that might be worth it. Same thing with guys. If you have a certain look or a certain appeal or some creative shtick, something that makes you memorable as opposed to just how you play on the field, on the court, I think there's a place for personality types and modeling types to collect some fees off the notoriety and fame they've achieved by being on that college team. It's indirectly a form of crowdfunding for these college athletes who maybe make a little bit extra money, or they, in some cases, may make a lot. I'm hoping this tips the decision point in favor of going to college and staying in college, that you're not the one and done, or you're going overseas to practice your craft as an 18-year-old pro. So I do like that. I think it gives people the option. If they're thinking about college, it makes college more palatable. The other concern I have is just if there's chaos from an amazing oversupply of willing athletes who want to make extra money, that probably will just drop the price. You could have not a Dutch auction, but if you're looking for a football player to endorse your pizza, then you may take the athlete that has some name recognition, but the lowest. The older college sets that I've enjoyed, that are in the almanacs and things like that are not as widely traded, I don't know that's going to be affected. I hope there are more college sets because I think they're fun. But most of those college sets from the old days were either giveaways by the school, so no money really changing hands, or they were post-eligibility college alums, not jeopardizing any remaining eligibility. So again, it'd be fun to see what happens. I'll keep tracking it. I think we're in the early stages of this name, image, and likeness, and I believe that the NCAA will continue to evaluate this and figure out a way they can be involved in a way that's good for them. Again, thanks everybody. Enjoy your holiday weekend, and I'll be back again on Monday.